Now the first thing I'm going to show is something called the wet towel technique. So most people that were born in 80s or 90s, of course in the locker room, especially in the gym, we would wind up the towels and kind of slap each other with it, and sometimes it would be hard enough to leave welts. The concept is the same, so you just relax your hand like you have your towel wound up, and just, the idea of this is not anything that's impressive or anything that's going to do a lot of damage. Yeah, some people may be able to do it hard enough to be able to break skin on someone's face. In a fight, it's going to be just basically a distraction, unless maybe you get an eyeball or something like that. But it's not necessarily a technique you would want to use for combat, unless if you're using it defensively for like blocks. It doesn't take a lot, kind of like shooing a fly. That's where the wet towel technique can be useful. But the idea is just to be able to let your hand go like that. Now, the purpose of learning to do that is because your body is supposed to be like a whip in Tai Chi. So the power goes from your feet to your knees, hips, waist, out your arms into the opponent. Now, once you have an idea of how the wet towel technique works, you get an idea of a nice relaxed flow, spins, and you pull back quickly. You don't want to leave your hand like people do in demonstrations, because you're going to end up getting your hand broke or getting beat up. So from here, now that we have that, the next idea is you're going to hold one of your hands on the front, right or left. The other hand is going to be about a foot away. Now you want to relax your arms as much as you can, just using your wrist first. You're going to strike your hand. Now it'll sting a little bit, that's about it. It's not anything that impactful. Now what you want to do is combine your forearm into it and use your forearm to push the hand forward. Now it's going to sting a lot more. You should probably get a tingling sensation in your hand. After you do that, we're going to put the upper arm into it, so your whole arm is moving forward. Alright, stings a little bit more, not too much. Now we're going to add our shoulders into it. Okay, now it's really starting to sting. You feel it a little bit in the bones. Okay, now we're going to add the waist. The waist is important. Just in my plunging video, we talk about separating the waist, using the waist to separate the upper and the lower body. Now when we add the waist to it, it's going to be a lot more impact and it's going to sting more. Okay, now next, dantian rotation. Dantian rotation is very big in styles like Chen style Tai Chi, Longmen Tai Chi. So the idea is a circle for the dantian, connecting to the waist, just the dantian and the waist guiding all the way to the arm. Okay, that hurts. It's going to make your bone rattle. Okay, now that we have that, we're going to add our legs to it. Now the idea is to sink and sink into it as we move forward. So sink, sink. Now at this point, when you do the hit, your fingers, your palms, and your wrist are going to vibrate. You're really going to feel the impact of that. Okay? As soon as you can do that every time where your hand vibrates, that means you're getting used to it. You've got the flow, you got the connectivity all the way down from your hands to your feet. Now when you're using it, let's say if we're going to practice on a bag. So when you're punching in boxing, you're going to see that the bag has a tendency to move back more. Now, when you're doing the Tai Chi punch, it's a little bit different. So what you're looking for, when you strike it, there's more of a kick than the movement straight back. It still has force behind it, but the idea is to make it shake internally, so that way if you're hitting something like the stomach, the lungs, some area with internal organs, you're going to make those organs shake. In some cases, possibly shut down. If you believe in Denmark, I've never seen it happen, but that's like the concept behind it. Right? So it's always relaxed. Even at the moment of impact, it's going to be relaxed. So You also do want to make a habit, keeping your hands up and bringing your hands back. Because when you're fighting, you want to also have that defense in mind. And you want to make sure that when they follow up, after that punch, if that punch is not dropping, you want to make sure that you don't get hit as well. So in boxing, there are 5 main types of punches. There's the jab, there's the side, there's the hook, and then there's the body. So in Tai Chi, there's something similar. Now there's something called the hidden hand punch, which can be from the it's all there, and everything is there. There's the hip. And then we have, the overhead cannon. We have the body shot. And we have the back fist. Now when we're talking about the hand, the way that typically you're going to do your hand in Tai Chi, it's going to be like this. Now in Cheng Men Ching style, your hand is more like this. It's a soft lady hand or relaxed wrist. The problem with this is if you're striking and there's a force here, it's going to be easy to hurt your fingers. Now the way that I was taught was to not necessarily strengthen your fingers, but imagine a force going up to touch the ceiling. What that does is it puts intention through all your fingers and it makes them stable, so they're not bending back when they hit an incoming force. Now, some other ways I was taught is there's this way, which has a force this way and a force this way. All these 3 are relaxed. But again, there's an incoming force and you hit it with that thumb. It's possible to break or stub that thumb, which is very painful and it can be a distraction. So you don't want to do that. Some people are taught to do that and then hit with this part, which is fine. You just got to be careful with that thumb. Now, the third way, which is another way I was taught, is like this, like the tiles of a building. This is from Long Men or Dragon Gate Tai Chi. It can either be with the thumb straight up or out like this, mostly with the thumb up. And this kind of gives you a cutting edge on the side of your hand. You also have the palm to use. Of course, also finger thrusts. Right? Then with the fist, there's the way that I was taught to use, which I commonly do. You're making a fist. Your fist is almost clenched, but it's not. It's relaxed. Imagine a pencil lead, like a mechanical pencil lead, in between your hand. You don't want to hold it too tight or the lead will break, or too loose or you're going to drop the lead. So it is kind of relaxed. However, you still have an intention in your fingers, so they're not completely relaxed. Now, there's another way of doing it where your hands are completely open and relaxed till the moment of impact, and then you squeeze them tight. So it's relax, 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 tight, relax, relax, tight. Just like that. Now, the third way, which is one that I don't necessarily do, but some people are taught this way, is imagine a ping pong ball or an egg in the center of your palm. You don't want to squeeze too tight or you're going to break the egg, or too loose or you're going to drop the egg. You strike, usually with the side of your hand, just like a normal strike, but you still have that space in the middle. The important concept of these strikes is that they're round. What we mean by that is your body is a sphere. So if we're doing hidden hand front punch from chin style, here, the punch is there, but you also have elbow and back. So the intent needs to be there the whole time. Now, same type of punch in Yang style. You still have the intent there. You also have the intent there on the back. So, regardless what style it is, you want to make sure that you're spinning around while you're going through the motion. Now, another thing you're going to want to practice is with hitting the bag. Now, the idea is to get used to syncing as you strike. So, once you start hitting your hand and every time you feel that same type of pain or that same type of vibration on the inside, we're going to start on the bag. Now, the idea is to make sure at the point of contact, you're sinking into the strike. So that way you're not pushing yourself back. You're rooting into the point, you're uprooting the point, moving it, and you also have that same relaxed power going through the opponent, and it's shaking. Right? Now, another thing that's good to try is with stepping. As soon as your foot hits the ground, you strike. Same concept in chain style. We do that a lot in the forms. Where it's the same exact time your foot hits the floor, you want to hit the opponent. Now, if you're doing Yang style, you can do that stationary. So my weight is over here. As soon as my I want to strike the back. All right. Another thing you can do is just practice releasing power into the bag. When you hit it, you absorb the power down, so you're sinking it. And then so when you do the same type of strike, like a basic jab, has a different impact. So what you're looking for with a pretty powerful punch, you're going to see the bag in the back, and you're going to see maybe an indentation in the bag. But when you relax your punch, you see more of a shaking movement. Now the idea behind that shaking movement is to do some type of internal damage. Not saying necessarily that you're going to kill somebody with one strike or something like that. It's not a movie. But the reality is when you hit with that type of force, it creates a concussive force on the inside, which is causing it to shake. So if you hit someone in the stomach, they'll feel their stomach shake, vibrate, and it's a very ugly feeling. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to have something bad happen to them, like in the movies where you do the 5-point exploding heart palm, all that. That's not real. But they are going to have some type of impact on the inside. Now with Tai Chi, the idea behind it is to be relaxed as possible and use your structure from your feet, legs, hips, waist, shoulders, out to the arms. And you also want to sink into the strike, so that way you also have whatever force is coming back to you every time rooted down to your feet. So you're actually using the earth to do the strike, not necessarily your muscle strength. The styles that do use the muscle strength